Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I'm proud to offer premium wireless for just $15 a month. And I'm proud that we have thousands of 5-star reviews from customers like Dan D. in New York, who writes, "I am satisfied customer. How can this only be $15? He wrote it in all caps. I needed you to feel it, like he feels it. I hope I did that justice, Dan. And I hope that you try Mint too at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months required. New subscribers only. Renew for 12 months to lock in savings. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See mintmobile.com.
Welcome guys, this week's episode of Heavy Metal Tones with me, your podcast host Tony Evans. This week, guys, will be a slightly shorter episode, as what I've got to say, it's an experiment for me in this way of actually reviewing an album, so it will be slightly more truncated. It might, look, as I speak, we might squeeze over the 40-minute mark, but more likely it's going to be sort of shorter. But this week's episode is, as you would know by looking at the title of the program, is about the new Witch Skull album. Now, you may have, if you've been a fan of the show for a little while, heard my review of the previous Witch Skull album, which was Driftwood Cross that came out in 2020. They are, for if you're not sure, I've never heard of them before, you guys around the world, well, you're missing out. Hold on to your horses and get yourself involved, because this is a brilliant band. They're a local Canberra band formed in 2014. You've got Tony McMahon on bass. Now, I'm sure that's how you pronounce his last name. Sorry, Tony, if I got it wrong. Joel Green on drums and Marcus Di Pasquale on guitars and vocals. Now, they've all been in all sorts of bands in the past, but most notably, Joel has been in Armored Angel, which is a local Canberra metal band that was around for a very long time, and I've got a lot of their stuff, and they are absolutely brilliant. And if you can get a chance to listen to their stuff, make sure you do. From a small town like Canberra, we have a population of just under 400,000 people. It has a big musical community and a big metal community. At one point, one of the most sort of voracious metal communities in the country. And we produce some unbelievably good music. And in this case, I truly believe that we've made one of the best doom/sludge sort of metal bands in the world at this present time. I don't think there is a band. I mean, they're very heavily influenced by Candlemass, Cathedral, Black Sabbath, St. Vitus Dance, all this sort of stuff. They are. You can hear it. You can really hear it. Even, in fact, on this album, I hear lots of overtones of Killing Joke on there as well. Sort of industrialization of the music. But they have this very unique sound. You could play me any one of their songs and I know it was them. They have this... they don't hang around. The album is 35 minutes long. It's not, progressive rock length odysseys. It's bits that you know, really with quite sort of speed and veracity. As I said, I listened to it when it was released on the 16th of June 2023. So if you're listening to this in the future, guys, this is when it was released, and which was I think it was a Friday, and I listened to it through quickly just once, just to see, I have this plan. I'm going to listen to it as I go, and then write notes just quickly on my feelings of each song. So that's what I did. I sat down this morning and I basically played through each song and gave myself the length of the song to write down as many notes, if I can read my handwriting, as possible about each song. The motive feel it gives me, the whatever I could get out of my head, because then I'm going to sit down and wallow in its greatness. I've just bought the gold coloured vinyl edition of the new album. I picked it up on the weekend, and they're playing live. I mean, this is no good to you now, but if you're in the local area, I mean, no good to you overseas, sorry, but if you're in the local area, in the Canberra surrounds and Sydney surrounds, and want to come and see one of the best doom bands on the planet, come and see them this weekend at the Australian Croatia Club on the 24th. It's Metal Nights Festival. And it's got, with one of our friends of the show, Pure Envy, and some other local bands. Really, really going to be, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to getting old Nick Muscles a bit flexed, if you know what I mean. And blast the old ears out. But here we go, right? So it's their 4th album, and I think genuinely their coming-of-age album. Vast Electric Dark in 2015, brilliant. Edgy but brilliant. Coven's Will is one of my favourite albums of all time. I play it all the time. In fact, I play it at least once a week. And then Driftwood Cross. Driftwood Cross felt like it was a very grown up, very mature, and very knew its direction. Whereas I think this album really for me feels like it's the very much so. They've now got their sound. It's engineered beautifully. It's mixed astoundingly. Every part of every musician that plays, all 3 of them, is equally beautifully mixed. No one's left out, forgotten. In fact, I think this is probably the best drum mix for Joel of all 4 albums. I think here he actually, you hear his delicious nuances, his flair, and his movement, and with Marcus, I think this is some of the best lyric. I made notes. You'll find out in a minute, but I think you can hear him so clearly lyrically. I need to get the album so I can read the lyrics. I'm not going to discuss the lyrics. I didn't really hear them. I sort of I just listened to the background, and they're there, but I just wanted to hear his voice, the sound of his voice, and the way it was mixed. I'll look at the lyrics later on. But again, with them, he doesn't write huge paragraphs of lyrics. He's quite, perfunctual and succinct when he writes his lyrics. So he's not trying to read you, a 500 word novel in a song. He's just giving you what he needs to punctuate the music. So it opens up with Tyrian Dawn. Now, I'm going to read you exactly what I've written. Okay, so bear with me because it's scribbled. I wrote the clearest vocal in some time, as I said before. It's a very distinct sound. I think so. It opens with a very, very grown-up sound, very doom-laden funk. I've written. It's got a real funky, Killing Joke-esque, Geordie-esque guitar punctuation. Now, I don't know if Marcus, if you listen to this, whether that's a positive for you. I think it is, because Geordie's one of the greatest guitarists in the world. And the reason I say that it's very Killing Joke-esque is that Marcus, even though he throws guitar solos in, he doesn't do it with like lots of technical flair and verboseness. He's profound, and he hits the mark. It's either really sort of heavily sludgy, wire-driven distortion, or it's these beautiful picked nuances that come in and out of the song. I've written here rhythmic nuance, there we go, and apocalyptic, which I think comes a lot in this album. I think I say this quite a few times in my reviews for this particular album. It is very, very apocalyptic in its feel. It lands on you, and then it just rumbles across you, and that's Tyrian Dawn. Okay, really nice, clear lyric, really great album opener. And then we go into the second track, Obsidian Eyes. Of course, the obsidian, for those who don't know, is black, so black eyes basically. Now, what I've written here is it's very atmospheric. The drums pulse to you in and out so greatly. I've put Tony's best bass parts, that's the bass player, Tony's best bass parts of any of the songs so far on all 4 albums, in my opinion. It's this dirty funk-laden, mesmerizing, big sound. It as a bass player, I really appreciate Tony's bass playing. It's really heavy and strong and direct. It doesn't fuck around, right? It bites in, holds on, and drives the sound. And in this one, he really becomes sort of forefront of the mix. There's subtle lines that pull your ear in and out with Marcus's guitar work. And there's these little tiny nuances that suddenly you hear the bass rumbling, and then and suddenly there's a guitar part just somewhere in the left-hand side of the mix or the right-hand side of the mix, and you get this sort of eerie, ethereal sludge that only they can do, really. Joel's drums are mixed impeccably on this particular track. His fluidity with Tony is just beautiful. I've always felt that he was slightly set back in the mix in other albums, and I think here his work is coming so much forward. This album is crisp, clear cymbal work. Like his cymbals, I always appreciate the way that you can capture the cleanness of a cymbal while at the same time the dirtiness of everything else. So it's like having a lemon drink cutting through that thick meal you've had before you go and before you sort of have another sort of piece of that cheese. It's the way of cutting through your palate, cleaning your palate almost. That's the right way to say. It rumbles and it drones. It's just brilliant. Again, I don't know what Tyrion Dawn is about. I need to look into that lyrically and the concepts of it. They are very much about the occult, and this album does have a heavy occult feel to it. I think that's Marcus's influence there. And then we come crashing into Sun Carter. I can't read my own handwriting. Sun Carver, idiot Tony. I wrote Carter. You see my T's and my V's. Now this is the doomiest of all the tracks on the album so far. It's driving slowly, but at the same time with a heavy, clean, profound, deep sonic speed. Like it has this slow and speedness that just sort of, I don't know how to describe it. It's fast and slow at the same time. They just keep it that way. I don't know how they do it. Tony's rumbling along in the background. Really beautiful movement. The vocals are a clean spirit of falsetto, I wrote. Now, that's maybe not correct. It's not. I wouldn't say it's falsetto. It's sort of falsetto. It has this sort of operatic nuance to it. It takes its toll on you, this song. I felt that, you just when you think you know what's happening, at 3 minutes 50 into the song, it changes tempo on the turn of a coin, and it bursts away with this speed that just catches your breath away. The solo that Marcus jumps in, it's only maybe a 10-15 second solo, but it's crazy. It's fueled with distorted madness. It really feels like it's bringing the very best out of the band, and almost comes to a sort of, and forgive me when I say this, a sort of semi-sexual, orgasmic, transcendental state of finish. Where you think you should stop suddenly, light a cigarette, and have a sleep. Right? It just draws every ounce out of you, and then bang, it's over. It's just, so brilliant. In fact, it's probably my favourite track on the album at this point. It really, really is. It's just full of its madness, is what I think I should really say. And then we follow on with Boneless. We'll drop my pencil. Bornless Hollow. Sorry, which is again, the superlatives on this album are really hard to not force around. But the guitar, I've written here, the guitar is forceful element in this track. It was bass and drums in the previous tracks, but this has a more frenzied guitar feel. Feels like a punk. I've written here a amphetamine-fueled driven punk infusion of speed, metal, thrash, and doom. But its intensity comes to a huge head, and like anything, it then breaks and drops back to this doom sludge, Sabbath-esque Candlemass pace that Joel brings home with some absolutely audacious attacking drums splashing across the kit, almost sort of reaching through the speakers out to me and beyond the front of the band. I can feel him reaching for the drums as far as he can go. It's really quite an astounding piece of drumming for me in such a tight three-piece movement like band. You have to be very, very good, and Joel has that in spades, absolute spades. It's textured, it's layered, and it's educated, and it has that. And I love the way that they sort of share it around. Like here at the beginning, let's have Tony on bass really in the forefront. Let's have Joel doing his bit here. No, suddenly now we've got Marcus with his chaos of guitar that is so uniquely him, and his vocal, which is so piercingly beautiful, yet also quite hard to listen to sometimes, in that respect that it's this really sort of occultish, dreamlike vocal state. It really is quite something special. And that's, for me, that's Bornless Hollow. I think what a brilliant track to follow on from Suncarver. I mean, it's just crazy. And I saw them do Suncarver live, and it was just outrageously brilliant. And then we move crashingly into quite a short song, but also very much when I listened to it, I thought of very much a cult moment. I thought of the Aleister Crowley. I thought of Anton LaFay's, the Satanic Bible. It's called the Serving Ritual. It says it all, really, doesn't it? Really, if it's ritual and serving, it could be. You can just picture it up. I said I haven't looked at the lyrics yet. It keeps up with the speed that the Bornless Hollow had at the beginning. It's organic. It has an organic rapture, I said. It shows there is no one on the planet quite like them. At 1:38 into the song, chaos erupts in a most cathedral-esque inspired doom-fueled madness that begs to be played at full volume. And then in a flash, up the tempo, then up in the tempo, and the rise and fall of the music is so breathtaking. I've written the solo is cataclysmic. It's quick, like an earthquake, like a flash, like a sun flare, but it's just it assaults your ears from every approach, from left and right and front. It's delicious, it's quick, it makes you want to have more, and it's one of those songs where you go, oh, maybe you could have gone round one more time, guys. It really it just leaves you wanting more, and I think that's the best thing about Witch Skull, is they don't drone on and on and on and on. And don't get me wrong, I love all that stuff, but they don't. They come in, they do their thing. They are, like I said, it's so punk inspired, so Killing Joke, so Ramones almost. Now I know Tony is from New York and spent a lot of time. I'm sure he's from New York. He's in America, but I know we talked about him a bit when I talked to him before, that he spent a lot of time in New York. And he's dealt with a lot of that stuff, the CBGBs and all that sort of stuff. So he's really into that scene, and you can hear it. You can really hear it thundering around, but it was more educated than possibly those bands that were there. Anyway, that, my friends, is side one. We've finished with a brilliant flash of a pan. It may not be side one on the album. It's side one for the show. Anyway, I've got to take a quick break and have a quick cup of tea, because that's really, this experience has really sort of pumped me up. What a great album. A really good way to do it, I think, guys. If you ever want to really review anything or think about something, listen to it in the quick flash and then have what you emotionally feel straight away. If you spend too much time really deep diving into it, sometimes you can either hear things you wouldn't, you don't think you've heard, or you'll find things you're trying to hear, like tasting notes of whiskey, smelling notes, or wine tasting notes. Sometimes a quick smell and walk away is all you need to emote that emotion, and that's what I'm doing right now. So I hope you're enjoying it. Anyway, that's the end of side one. We'll have some ads, I'm sure, sell you some mattresses, some life insurance, whatever it does. Please keep listening, because it does actually pay me a little bit of money to help me keep the show going. While I've got you on that, please do like me, send us a review, give us some stars on YouTube or not YouTube, sorry, iTunes or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. It would be nice. Anyway, that's me for now. I'm going to get a drink and I'll talk to you on the other side. Bye for now, guys.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New subscribers only. Renew for 12 months to lock in savings. Taxes and fees extra. Additional restrictions apply. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Welcome back, guys, to part 2. Pardon me. In reality, I've actually just gone out to the dentist, come back, made lunch, had some, relaxing time, then got back behind the mic again. But in your time, it's like, boom, just there's an ad break. It's quite fantastic. I love the world of recording, don't you? Anyway, that's enough of my silly frivolity. On to some more songs. So, the next one on this epic... Ooh, hit the mic in. This epic album is Serpentide, the Serpentide, the title track. It's this one really... the doom drips from this track I've written. It's a dark, foreboding, seething track. You can glimpse the occult tones in this, musically, and what lyric I did catch. Tony and Joel combine in this. Excuse me, wait a second, I might sneeze. Pardon me, sneezing in real time. There you go. I haven't got a sneeze button. Anyway, so Tony and Joel combine in a really uncompromising, almost operatic and symphonic, written grandiose way here, that makes this band such a sort of wonderful thing that it is. I mean, I don't know if I've talked about this before, but 3-piece bands are my favourite bands to see live and often to hear, because there's nowhere to hide. There's no, you take my guitar part, I'll take your guitar part, whatever. It is rock and roll at its very rawest. If you look at what the, I mean, look at the Police. One of the greatest 3-piece bands ever. And not just that, but also Motorhead. Brilliant. Anyway, I could rub it on about that, but it is so Serpentide. I'm glad it's not the opening track on the album. A lot of bands tend to like to put their title track at the beginning or right at the end, and I actually think it's quite good that it just sits in the middle there. It also sums up the album very succinctly. And then we sort of we move on to Misery's House. Now, this is the lightest track on the album. Now, when I say light, I don't mean, play it to your granny, elevator music kind of light. It's still heavy. It still will rip your face off. But it's very much old school. This is very much Nwabum for me. They reach in to their back pocket and they pull out their influences, things like Witchfind, Praying Mantis, Holocaust, all those amazing Demon. They pull out those amazing obscure Nwabum bands, and they really funnel it into this one, I think. Anyway, it's a real traditional playground, really fun, fast fueled leitmotif almost compared to what they've been playing previously. It has a nice sort of release. It gives a release on the album, because up till Serpentine, you're really you're not ground down, but you are taken on this quite epic, heavy fueled occult nightmare of an album. Like, just you can imagine it being the soundtrack to someone's sweat fueled nightmare. And this is the sort of one where he's woken up, or she or he or they have woken up, and or you've woken up, and you're just sort of like lying there, and it's the faint memories of the nightmare you just had. And that's what I get from Misery's House. Not lyrically, as I said, I don't know what lyrics or what I need to get the record, which I've just bought, as I said, to pick up, so I can read the lyrics and then maybe sort of go back to it and do another show about the lyrics of it. But at the moment, I don't know exactly what it's about, because I'm trying to absorb myself into the moment quickly, and so then I don't hear it. It is Joel's voice. Marcus's voice is really, really clean in this one as well. And you often with him, he has this very unique falsetto sound, and it can, when he's spitting out the lyric, the enunciation can get lost, but you don't mind, because that's Marcus, and that's the way he sings, and that's the way that he plays. And this one seems a little bit, as I said before at the beginning of the program, I think it's a bit more grown up, a little more educated, a little bit more easier to listen to is wrong, because their music is not easy listening, but his voice is a little bit more easy on the ear in this one. And then we're going to move on to the we've got, now 1 second here, what did I write down? That is my problem. I didn't write it down. Give me a moment. Yeah, I did. Oh, there it is. And then we come... Yeah, here it is. We come to the very last track on the album, which is Rune of Thorns. Rune of Thorn, I should say. It is a good last track on the album. It's real strutty stuff. It's a real pomp and circumstance. It's very much a track from a band that is very aware of who they are and what they are, and where they come from, and who their audience is. I've got several words I've written down. This really does, for me, sum up this track, but also the album. I wrote bouncy, strutting, textured, heavy. It's got a nod back to influence. It's epic. It's got an epic tundral landscape. You know what I mean by that? What I mean is that it's almost, you can imagine audibly, you look out onto this snow-filled landscape, and it's the horizon is forever away, but you know that they're on the journey to that horizon. There'll be lots of interesting things that will happen, and that's how I felt with this album. It's an epic tundral landscape of audio heavy metalness. It's just fantastic, and at 35 minutes long, it doesn't hang around. The tracks aren't very long. They come and they go, and honestly, sometimes I would love them to be much longer. I sort of go, oh, come on, another 3 minutes of this. This is just, why don't you bite into this riff? This is amazing. But they know what they want. They want to keep it succinct. They want to keep it punchy, and they want to keep it hard and doomy. And I think if you went too long on this kind of textural music, it will become audio wallpaper. You'd probably give up listening in the end, and it would just be in the background, which is unfair, because this is the kind of music that you should, honestly, if you've got the vinyl, put it on, be with it. If you've got the download, put it on in the dark room, close your eyes, listen to it. If you've got it, whatever way you've got to give it time. You've got to give it its due diligence. You can't put it on in the background and whistle along to it and do other things. It isn't going to work. You have to really respect this particular album, otherwise it will just bite you on the arse. It is a superb. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5 album. It's their best album yet, and I thought it was a difficult one to say that, because I thought their previous 2 albums were really epic. Driftwood Cross was just wonderful, but this is so educated, so intelligent, so textured, and you know, for a band that found their sound really quickly, it is just insanely them. You couldn't be any other band, really. If you haven't seen them live, and you are in your town near you sometime, please do give them a go, because they're really nice lads, men. They are uncompromising. It's just balls to the wall rock and roll. There's no flashiness with them. Although when we saw them at the Polish club, I'm just looking at the poster. Was it? Hang on 1 second. The Canberra Polish Club on the 20th of February 2021. They filmed it. There was 2 nights, and we got the night there when you could stand up just after a lockdown had been stopped. And man, they had fireworks, and they had it was just awesome, absolutely awesome. And so they do have that bit of glitz and glamour to their shows, but most of the time they're everything I love about rock and roll and punk and heavy metal. They're just, you know, denim, leather, noise, you know what I mean. They don't wear leather, but you know what I mean. Big speakers, loud guitars, and insane amounts of talent. That's me for this week, and again, only a short one. Normally, my episodes go on for almost an hour, but this one here, I just wanted to just enthuse about this album. I really didn't want to do anything else around the show that would detract from what I wanted to say about it. If you get a chance to come along, as I said, and you're in the Canberra area this weekend on the 24th at the Croatia Club, come along. It's going to be brilliant. I'll be there. Benji will be there. There'll be loads of people there. The guys at Pure Envy will be there, and they're geezers. So, you know, when you can, come along. If not, just go on to Spotify or iTunes or wherever you get your podcast, wherever you get your download streams, and listen to their album. The first album is not on Spotify. You're going to have to YouTube that, sadly, but it is well worth listening to the 4 albums and hearing their audio journey, because they really are insanely talented, insanely good. Anyway, enough of me, waxing lyrical about them. I can't wait for Saturday. I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know once you've listened to the album what you think. Have I been right? Am I wrong? Do you love them? Do you hate them? I hope you don't hate them, but I hope you give me some of your feedback. That'd be great. Anyway, talk to you next week, guys. Bye for now.